everyone? Welcome back to another Tucker Tuesday. What's going on out there, chat? Happy Tuesday. God damn. The news is just breaking fucking everywhere. McCarthy is out. We're going to look at some of that here in a second. Let's see who we got hanging out in the chat real quick. We have J. Kate, Caro Soldier, Zobles, Fastonia, Daryl Odell, TC, what up? Mike Savage, how we doing? No more than 6%. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure it is more than 6. DP SHREK, Red, Ambassador Bishop, Franken, Beans, McCarthy lasted longer than CNN Plus, but not by much. Is that the standard we're going with right now? If it lasts longer than CNN Plus, I like it. Tier, what up, Ming? How you doing? Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy. This certainly, I was not expecting this. I know Matt Gaetz was really being a blowhard on this one, but McCarthy is a piece of shit. So I don't mind it. What up, Always Lost? Long time no see, buddy. McCarthy out, some other jackass from Cali. Let's hope it's not. I think they already said who the interim... Ooh, thank you. I don't even have that open right now. I think they already said who the interim is going to be. That's Snarbs for a buckaroo. Begone Swamp Filth. You are not wanted here, McCunty. Press S to spit. I think I tweeted that out. S to spit. Let's take a look at CNN's coat. Oh, cool. Sound. That'd be helpful.
The yeas are 216. The nays are 210. The resolution is...
And by the way, that screen shake, that is just 100% CNN. That is 100% CNN. Patrick McHenry. Thank you, Zobles. By the way, hey, Zobles.
Is adopted without...
Cunts. Cunts with loud engines.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
An historic moment. For the first time in the history of the United States, the Speaker of the House has been removed. For those paying attention at home...
I thought the screen shake was me bouncing my leg. No, that's just CNN having the shittiest graphics you can imagine. Look at my stuff. The only things that move are the things that are supposed to move. How is CNN a multi-billion-dollar corporation and they can't even get decent graphics?
And trying to understand why it's not a 218 vote count. It requires a majority of those present and voting. There are 426 people present and voting, 426, which means that you need half plus one, and that would be 214 votes. And they have the yeas to remove Speaker McCarthy are 216. It is a...
Sinatra, solid as a rock. That was my nickname in high school. What up, Lamented Guide?
Resounding defeat for Speaker McCarthy
House
with 8 of his fellow House Republicans, including Congressman Matt Gaetz, who led this out.
Well, what do you think's going to happen when you go against what most Republicans are really pushing for? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're just going to turn around and go, okay, well, I guess Ms. McCarthy said so? No, he betrayed, as Franken Bean said, he betrayed the Freedom Caucus by trying to bring a bill funding Ukraine. Nobody wants more money to Ukraine.
Effort leading the charge to join the Democrats to remove him from power. Let's listen in if they are they talking right now?
Pursuant to Clause 8B, 3B of Rule 1, is the Honorable Patrick T. McHenry of North Carolina. Signed sincerely, Kevin F. McCumber, Acting Clerk.
Pursuant to Clause 8B3 of Rule 1, I will now act as Speaker pro tem. The Chair will inform the members of the House the following. The office of the Speaker was rendered vacant pursuant to the adoption of House Resolution 757. Upon a vacancy in the office of Speaker, Clause 8B3 of Rule 1 provides that the next member on a list submitted by the Speaker, pursuant to the rule, acts as Speaker Pro Tem until the election of a new Speaker, and bestows the authorities of the office of Speaker upon the Speaker Pro Tem to the extent necessary and appropriate to that end. In the opinion of the Chair, prior to proceeding to the election of a Speaker, it would be prudent to first recess for the relative caucus and conferences to meet and discuss the path forward.
Okay. Are we going to... here we go. This is what I'm looking for.
Angry gaveling down by the man.
Hold on. I saw on... I was watching a local Fox affiliate this morning, and holy shit. The way they were describing McCarthy going out was unbelievable. Hard right was used like 5 times, far right a handful of times. I was blown away. Hard right Republicans are trying to remove the what is with all the dono question marks in? Well, I will get to that in just a moment. Hard right Republicans are trying to remove the center reasonable Kevin McCarthy. I was blown the fuck away by how they were doing it. The hard right, the far right are trying to oust McCarthy. Okay, that's kind of like how laws and Congress works, you fucking polyword. What is with all the dono question marks? Well, we are in spoopy season, and we have a whole fucking ballsack ton of new spoopy donos. So if you want to see what some of those are, you can click them down below. I have to say that the $150 one right now is my current favorite because it's a fucking earworm and has been stuck in my head for like a week.
An angry
but all of them are chef's kiss.
gaveling down by the man named as Speaker Pro Tem, meaning he is the temporary Speaker of the House. That is Congressman Patrick McHenry, a Republican from North Carolina, a close ally of Kevin McCarthy, who is no longer the Speaker of the House. Let us go to Manu Raju, who is outside the House chamber.
I want to see how quickly Ukraine gets brought up again.
Manu, a devastating day for former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who...
Why won't you answer me? What is my favorite snack? Ribs!
You rang? Thank you, spoofers. Ribs. Spare ribs. That is a fucking fantastic one, too. All of them are fucking great. All of them are fantastic. Spare ribs. Save. Call to Curl. Do you think McCarthy resigns or stays in? Ooh. Oh, man. Half of me thinks he will resign in shame. This is a fantastic pause, by the way. But the other half thinks he resigns as kind of like a fuck you. Or no, I'm sorry. Half of me thinks he resigns and just kind of throws a fit about it. But the other half of me thinks that he will Mitch McConnell onto power until he literally dies in office. So I don't know. He does kind of seem like one of those cats that just wants the title. I think he's probably going to stay.
Told reporters that the 15...
That one always gets me. Neat. I like unlocking new donos. I'm up for one. So what does this one do? No homo. Love for all of you. Thank you so much, Fostonia. And that is Skelly Beatdown. That is the Skelly Beatdown. Wait, no. I don't think that's right.
Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
It's showtime.
Hold on. Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Okay, hold on. This is what you should have unlocked. I forgot to enable it after I... Oh, God. Miss Sin sent in some interesting ones. Thank you, Fostonia. Oh boy. Shadowclaw TC, you guys seem to like that one. That's good. And of course, Beetlejuice. I don't remember how to spell Beetlejuice. Shit. I'll do it in a second.
Rounds he went through of balloting in January taught him how to govern.
Oh, it is just Beetlejuice. I thought it was spelled some fucking funky way. It is just Beetlejuice. Holy shit. My entire life is a lie. Oh my god, I didn't know that. Bookworm Addict. I don't know what the weird way of spelling it is, but I know for a fact that's not it. And Darilo said, new dono unlock achieved. Thank you, Darilo and Fostonia. Much appreciated, guys. Much appreciated.
Not so much.
Yeah, he thought he was able to get these various warring factions together through that whole process. But as we saw, it devolved over just a handful of members within his own conference were furious at his decisions, including to keep the government open by relying on Democratic votes. They have a sharp disagreement over spending levels and some personality conflicts as well. But given the narrowness of this House...
The movie is called Beetlejuice. I'm looking at it right here. Michael Keaton plays Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. That's what it says. Michael Keaton plays Beetlejuice. Huh.
Republican majority. Kevin McCarthy was captive. It was essentially isolated within his own conference, given the opposition within his right flank. He knew full well that a handful of members could upset his plans at any given time on any party-led vote. He had initially calculated to try to align himself with those members on the far right, but at times when simply needing to do the basic essence of government.
But thank you, Darilo and Fostonia, for the new unlocks. We only have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 20 more new ones.
Governing, whether it's raising the national debt limit or keeping the government open, he needed Democratic support. There's a Democratic Senate and a Democratic White House. That is something that those members on the far right of his conference simply would not accept, which is why he is...
The far right of his conference won't accept it. Come on, man.
Met this fate, a historic vote, first time ever, removed from the speakership.
He looks like Lori Lightfoot, holy shit.
Now the House is in a complete state of paralysis. There will be a vote eventually, either tonight, maybe tomorrow, to name a new speaker. That is a bit unclear at the moment. And it also...
Look at this dickhead in the background carrying 2 cameras. Just lens swap, you Pollyword.
So unclear what Kevin McCarthy
He's using the best brand, though.
will do. Will he put himself up as a candidate for speaker? He has said for some time that he will fight. He's ready to fight. But does that mean he'll actually be a candidate? That is a major question at the moment. And can anyone get 218 votes in this bitterly divided House and this bitterly divided Republican conference? A lot of these members who are aligned themselves with McCarthy want him to fight. They don't want Matt Gaetz to win this round right here.
Well, it looks like that's kind of taken out of your hands now, isn't it?
So there are a lot of questions about all the next steps here, Jake. But one thing is clear. This is a historic moment here in the House, and a very, very angry members of the Republican conference here emerging, wanting to know how to go forward and worried about their own political high.
Is he green screened in right now? I don't think so.
It's worried that they could lose the House given the leadership crisis they are now facing, Jake, as they try to pick up the pieces. Jake.
Manu, are we expecting?
I love it. The far right, bitterly, blah, blah, blah. Dude, cope, seethe, shut up.
To see Congressman McCarthy come out anytime soon.
We are expecting him. He's expected to walk out this way towards his office. We'll try to ask him a question as he does come out. So we'll see, Jake, in just a matter of minutes, whether or not the speaker, now former speaker, wants to weigh in and whether he will detail his plans in the days ahead, Jake.
All right, let's see how TYT is taking the news. God damn, how many ads does this show fucking have?
A year. For like a second grader. It's insane, okay? But all the rich kids are in the private schools. Those are the best in the country. The public schools are now one of the worst in the country. They drained everything out of the public school system and gave it basically over to the rich, okay?
Okay, that's fine. Let's get into Tucker. We're going to have some fantastic cope and seethe going forward with the McCarthy ousting, because the shit, it really falls down to their Republican lead to fund Ukraine and fund their shitty bills has been taken away from them. So I think that's fucking hilarious. So we're going to get into the Tuck, guys. I want to start actually with this. A little 10-minute speech, and then I got sent J-Kate sent it over that the interview with Victor David Hanson is fucking amazing. So we're going to start with that one. Then if we have time, we'll look at the interview with, who's his name? O'Reilly. I'm not a big O'Reilly fan. This shit is hilarious. Hold, please. Troy E. Nels says he's nominating Trump for speaker. Yeah, that's stupid. That's very stupid. Gen Z said, let the sneezing begin, city slickers. Oh, these people are going to be so fucking mad. They're going to be so fucking mad. Right off the bat, nominating Trump for speaker really makes it sound like they're doing whatever they can so he can't run for president. I'm a little sus right off the bat on that one, honestly. Lamented Guide, I gotta send you something. There you go, check that out, enjoy that. Lamented Guide and I have been trading Pitbull memes back and forth. Destroy something, blame it on the right, say they have to stop the right from destroying it, you must vote Democrat and give them more taxes. Right tries to stop you, see proof. Well, that's always it. There is not a single problem right now in the country that can't be solved by voting for Democrats and raising taxes. If we vote for Democrats and raise taxes, we can change the weather. The bare bones of all of it is fucking hilarious. Okay, here we go. Guys, smash that like button, share it out on your social media. Should you feel so inclined, please consider hitting up that Streamlabs. We have a ton of new... speaker can run for president. What do you mean? I know, but what's the point of putting him as speaker for a couple of months and he's going to be president running? Smash that like button, share it out. If you feel so inclined, please hit up that Streamlabs. It is greatly appreciated. We have tons of new dope donations down below. You've already seen 2 dope new ones. We have plenty more. If you're like, I don't know, it's a lot of options, I don't know what I should pick, may I suggest the John Wick one is pretty fantastic at 4501 or 9001. The 150 is purely delicious. The Wolf Howl Awooo is fantastic, and the 2525 is a good time.
The person who's brave wins. Period. And in a moment like this, the stakes are higher. It's not just a matter of like being the next guy who invents something cool and then figures out a way to sell it. No, it's, do you want your children to be able to live here?
I want to invent something cool and be able to sell it. I am impressive. Oh, a bunch of people have messaged me asking what stuff I had for the N64, then they never message me back. So I'm going to wait like 1 more week, and if nobody wants it, I'm just going to sell it to that shop. So if you're interested, hit me up, Discord.
Do you want to have grandchildren at all? And if you're not brave, that won't happen. And it's very clear at this point. And I could bore you with a lot of dark stats, but I'm not going to because you know them. And so be brave. And by the way, there's nothing easier. The key to being brave is brooding about death. This is just true, I believe. The key to being brave is brooding about death. All anxiety and all fear stems from the most basic of all fears, which is the fear of death, which is inborn. You feel it from the moment you arrive.
Yeah, the sense of mortality is really something that kind of keeps us all grounded.
Because you know it's going to end on some level. My deepest child on our 5th birthday burst into tears, and I said, why? All my other more shallow children were psyched for the cake. My deep child said, well, I don't want it to end. And I said, what? My life. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I could drown in these waters. They're too deep. I did start crying. Yes, I did. Okay, I'll admit it. But anyway, but whether we articulate it or not, that is the root of all anxiety. And so you need to focus on that. And I grew up in a place when I was a kid called La Jolla, California, which had a lot of, I know someone just snickered. Okay, got it. Yes, I know. It has a lot going for it. It's beautiful and all that. But in retrospect, the one thing that made it a really bad place actually to grow up and to live and why.
Holy shit, I didn't even notice. We're almost 20% to go. Look at that, guys. Damn, thank you. And yeah, fuck the DOJ.
Don't visit anymore. Is there was only one taboo in La Jolla and in all kind of affluent towns.
Uh-oh.
Will I get removed because 4 or 5 Republicans join with all the Democrats? I mean, that's the question here. If 98% of the
it's Republicans joining side with the Democrats just to take you out, not the fact that most people aren't happy with the bills that you're voting for and the shit you're doing.
Conference wants you to be speaker, but you create a Congress where 4 people can.
Oh shit.
4 or 5 Republicans join with all the Democrats. I mean, that's the question here. If 98% of the conference wants you to be speaker, but you create a Congress where 4 people can determine if they work with.
Where 4 people can determine, do you mean the majority? What the fuck are you talking about?
With the other side, how strong is the continuity of your government itself? And think for one moment.
If a majority can decide stuff, the Congress is weak and so is the country. Congress is elected as representatives for the people of the country. That is just a fact. So if these representatives vote a certain way, then why are you complaining that a majority of representatives voted a certain way?
Last week, we were hemorrhaging on whether we would shut down or not. I made a decision to take a risk to keep the government open. At the end of the day, if I am removed from speaker because I kept the troops from getting paid, they're able to be paid and the border agents able to be paid, you know, that's a fight worth fighting for. I've always said I will fight for the American public, and that's exactly what I did, and I'll continue to do that.
How are you going to do that without the fucking speakership, you goddamn retard? So that was from 10 hours ago, too, before he was ousted, so he was coping and seething way earlier. That's great.
It's like La Jolla in the West, which is death. It's like the one thing you could not talk about. I mean, people had freaky sex situations in La Jolla that would, but even in Wilmington, you'd be shocked.
Oh, and I forgot. We have, we have new Kama and new McKinley auras too, just for Halloween, on top of the new stack donation, which I believe is just. It is delicious and beautiful and amazing. And horsecocks and pinky songs and all that fun stuff.
And I'm serious, okay? It's a little inside joke for people from Wilmington. Oh. Anyway, sorry. But you would be. Like, nothing was judged. Like, well, I ended up, marrying the babysitter, but then I brought the massage therapist in for some polygamy, and people are like, oh, that's cool. Really? Yeah, no problem. No judgment whatsoever. None. The one thing you couldn't do was talk about dying or any of its attendant symptoms like aging. No aging. And if you got old enough and your age was visible enough, you had to go to Palm Springs. You had to, no, I'm serious. It was our equivalent.
I don't know. That just, that peaked really hard there. I don't know why. I don't know, man. It just kind of seems like, hey, maybe you're gonna get older at some point. This is just a thing that's gonna happen eventually.
Of putting you on the ice floe, okay, like the Inuit do. Sorry, you just, and it's like, whatever happened to Mrs. So-and-so? I don't know. She was in her 450 SLC just driving east. Never saw her again, and she's in Palm Desert at Thunderbird or whatever, and now she, you don't know. But the one thing you could never say about Mrs. So-and-so is she died like we all will. Totally not acceptable. And as a result of that, beneath, and if those of you who've lived there or know the area or any town like that, I doubt Aspen or Jackson are any different, right? The one thing about those towns is the anxiety level is crazy high. And that's why everyone's on benzos. Or like climbing to the top of Snow King manically or whatever, doing so much cardio that they calm down. I'm not joking. Anyone familiar with the culture?
If politicians can't come to an agreement, then they don't get paid until they can come to an agreement where everybody gets paid. I guarantee you, if that idea was broadcast more mainstream, or if somebody in Congress said that, they would be investigated by the DOJ almost immediately for insurrectionist shit. Like, I am so just blown away by the DOJ right now, especially with the Trump case that's currently happening and how it's being pushed forward, that it is just going to constantly be the stream goal until I stop being angry.
Culture I'm talking about? The white wine, now Casamigos, it's changed, but whatever, same idea. There's a crazy amount of anxiety because no one can acknowledge the core truth of life, which is that it ends. And any attempt to even talk about this or engage in a religious discussion, which by definition implies death and powerlessness, was rejected as like repulsive and an attack. And it made everyone crazy, and it made them cowards. That's true, it made them cowards. So as long as you're afraid of that, you're not going to be very effective fighting against people who really are serving a cause they believe is larger than themselves. Now, I think it's Satan or whatever you call it, but it doesn't matter what I think. They believe they are acting on behalf of something larger than themselves, the revolution. And if you're just like, make it go away, I don't want to be uncomfortable, you're going to lose. And the consequences are going to be horrible. Probably not for anyone in this room, because like everyone here is kind of higher income.
Okay, I don't want to dwell on this too much. Let's get to the interview J. Kate said was fucking fantastic. Guys, please smash that like button, share it out on your socials, and should you feel so inclined, consider that Streamlabs. We have all new dope stuff, Pinky songs, new auras, commas, donations, McKinley's, delicious 150. Let's keep moving.
If you've ever wondered why it's taken you so long to figure out what's happening now in America,
a stream boss that you could take out pretty quickly. Sorry, Darylou.
American politics, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. It's hard for most Americans to comprehend the total dishonesty of American liberalism. Virtually nothing the liberal says is true. And the lies are not ordinary lies. The lies are so brazen, so aggressive and unending that it's difficult for a normal person to understand what's happening.
I think a lot of the stuff that they put out is specifically so day-to-day people not only get confused by what's happening, but they blame the wrong people for what's happening. Considering 90% of the political and social stuff people get is from shit like CNN, Twitter, etc., etc., it's no real shock that they genuinely don't understand what's happening.
30 years ago, for example, liberals began to lecture us, softly at first and then in an increasingly high volume, about tolerance. How could you have known then that they planned, in fact, to usher in the most intolerant age in American history? They've done that.
We are literally at the single most intolerant age we've ever been since, like, pre-Jim Crow, I would argue. Like we are, but it's not even along racial lines. It's not along sex lines. It is 100% along political lines. 100% along political lines. Like we have a weaponized federal system from the IRS to the FBI, the DOJ. Everything is weaponized against Republicans by those in charge.
That now, but few people saw it coming. We shouldn't make the same mistake again. Liberals are now telling us they plan to protect American democracy, and that's the clearest possible sign that they intend to end it. 13 months from this week, the United States will hold a national election. In a democracy, citizens...
Oh, the ATF? Yeah, we covered some of that stuff. The ATF investigating gun shops with like Trump flags and shit. It is insane.
Can vote for the candidate of their choice. That's not just a feature, it's the defining fact of the electoral system. The people rule. They can send anyone they want to Washington because they're in charge. But this year, in the name of protecting democracy, liberals have decided to strip Donald Trump's name from the ballot in states across the country. Trump is the front runner in the presidential race.
Every day I go to work, I walk on eggshells. One slip of the tongue, I could be reprimanded, fired, or prosecuted. Do you remember, this popped up in my feed earlier today, do you remember the bike lady? The lady who was being harassed by a handful of melanated individuals trying to steal the electric bike that she bought, and she was fired and she had to go to court and all this shit. That whole thing was fucking insane.
He's currently beating Joe Biden in the polls. Yet liberals have decided that you should not be allowed to elect him president.
And fucking dipshits like Vosh and all those guys immediately jumped to, well, she was trying to steal their bike. It was their bike. She was stealing it.
That's not democracy. It's the opposite. It's totalitarianism. Just this morning, Donald Trump appeared in court in New York in a civil case brought by the state's attorney general that was designed explicitly to keep him out of the White House. That case is part of a larger legal barrage against Trump that so far includes a total of 91 felony counts, every one of them politically motivated. But today's civil case is especially absurd. In fact, it's hard to overstate its ridiculousness. In sum, Trump stands accused of inflating the value of collateral used to secure loans that he has already paid back with interest. In other words, there is no injured party in this case. The biggest banks in the world assessed the risk and they made a profit, as they almost always do. Not a single person was defrauded. For this non-crime,
crazy how that works.
Trump and his children are in the process of losing their homes and their businesses.
It literally only because it's Trump. That's literally the only reason any of this stuff is happening. If it was, dare I say, Biden, Hunter, and all them, they wouldn't be facing 1/10 of the repercussions because we have a completely corrupt Department of Justice.
Here's MSNBC's live coverage of the hearing today. And as you watch, pay special attention to the judge in the case, Arthur Engoron.
And there you see President Trump, the former president, I should say, next to his attorney, and that's Chris Kise, who we expect to make the opening statements here. And then this,
Judge Engoron,
I guess, is Judge Engoron.
There he is, the judge, mugging like he's on stage in a middle school play, grinning, preening for the camera. Arthur Engoron is thrilled to be on MSNBC.
And that's also what it's about, too. This guy wants to get his face in front of cameras. He wants recognition. He wants people to pay attention to him.
It's nauseating. This is not a legal proceeding. This is a grotesque parody of the system that our forefathers created, the fairest in the world, that in the years since has been seized by power worshipers like Arthur Engoron. This is a dangerous moment. Without a legitimate legal system, people will no longer follow the law, and the country will collapse. This is not about Trump. This is about preserving the United States of America. But Trump is at the center of the story. And so today, for an overview of what exactly the strategy to prevent Trump from running for president and to end our current system, we turn to Victor Davis Hanson, who joins us now. Professor, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Tucker.
Before we get into the details of the legal assault on Trump, which in my view isn't really about Trump, tell us.
I don't think it's about Trump either. I think it's about knocking down opposition. Trump just happens to be the guy in opposition.
What you think is at stake here? What's the overview?
Well, I think they've come to the conclusion that Trump represented an existential threat, and by association, half the country did to their vision of what they want to transform us into. And so they feel that any means necessary are justified by their noble spiritual ends.
That was one of their rally cries during 2020 was, by any means necessary, we will get justice by any means necessary. And now look what happens.
And therefore, they call it critical legal theory. Just essentially, Tucker says there's rules against stealing only because rich people don't steal, and therefore it's okay to steal. And modern monetary theory says print as much money, and eventually rich people will have to pay higher taxes or have their 401ks appropriated. Same thing with the border. Short term, everybody's mad at the border, but in dark rooms, they're saying to each other, in 10 years, everybody's going to appreciate what we did. We brought in 10 to 15 million new constituents. So
No, you're not. Well, I mean, yes, you are bringing in 10 to 15 million new constituents to vote blue, but you are fucking annihilating the workers in that area, because these people will work for dog shit instead of actually getting American fucking workers.
And I guess to put it all together, they feel that they're at a stage now where their agenda does not appeal to 51% of the people, and they either have to bring in new constituencies or change the system, the entire system of which we are acculturated to retain power, and that's what they're willing to do. And there's no such thing anymore as theft or lies or any of these things, because they're just constructs, and they're just anything that's useful to gain power is considered legitimate, and anything that's not useful is illegitimate, and that's how they define morality. And I think we're very naive, Tucker. We don't realize that we're in the middle of a revolution. We think that we're still playing within the same sidelines or parameters, and it's not. Everything's under negotiation, whether it's the Senate filibuster, the Electoral College, new states coming in.
It's funny that it's only under negotiation when Republicans are using these things to not only curb or curtail the stuff Democrats want, but it's when they're using it properly, then it's under negotiation. We got to keep an eye out for it.
Size of the Supreme Court, voting IDs, the genders, the foundational data of the United States, pronoun usage, from the trivial to the existential. We're in the middle of a cultural, economic, political revolution, and I think we got to wake up.
I mean, I suppose the danger is that if the average person decides that the system...
Tools are only for Democrats, don't you know? Apparently so.
...is illegitimate, it's not fair, it doesn't have any meaning beyond the political desires of the people administering it, then what prevents the average person from resorting to violence? In other words, if you have no power, if your vote means nothing, if the system is BS...
This does seem to be the question right now, but you have to be very careful how you ask it. If you have nothing, if they are in the process of taking everything they can from you, food, water, money, everything they can, raising taxes, raising interest, all this shit, what? And then they turn around and say, well, actually, I don't think your vote is going to count toward this. What stops people from just flipping the table over? What is supposed to stop people? That's the question.
Then, why don't you take up arms? Seriously.
Well, two things I think have precluded that so far. One is I call it the monastery of the mind. A lot of people just say, you know what, I'm checking out. I don't want to watch the Oscars. I don't even know what the Tonys or Emmys are. I don't watch the NBA. I have nothing to do with Hollywood movies. I've just created my own reality. And the other is, under our federalist system, we're having millions of people. This is the greatest exodus diaspora we've ever seen in our history, where people are fleeing these blue states and blue cities to red states.
They're fleeing to red states and then voting for the exact same fucking thing that they voted for that caused them the mess in the blue states.
And they feel that I'm going to recreate America as I once understood it without having anything to do. And so far that's kept us sort of viable, but for them that's not enough. It's never enough to have 2 million illegal entrants or 3 million. They got to have 8 or 9 or 10.
Let's try 20 or 30 or 40. Come on, be honest.
It's not enough that Joe Biden is corrupt. It's not enough that he's non-compos mentis. It's not enough that his agenda doesn't make sense. You've got to accept more and more of him. And I think they keep pushing the envelope, and these safety valves that I just mentioned, I don't know if they're going to be enough already. But right now, I think there's one last effort on the part of conservatives. They're going to say, you know what, we're going to speak up as we've never spoken up before. We're going to go after Target. We're going to go after Disney. We're going to say that we're going to go after the 3-gender movement, and we're going to try to win this election. We're going to try to win the House. We're going to try to win the representative. We just have to unite behind, and we'll see if that works. I'm really afraid. Everybody says,
I don't think it's going to work. I think that as of right now, unless we make some big changes, mostly culturally, honestly, that we're just going to have a real hard time gaining any reasonable power.
Democracy's in danger, but I think if they feel that they have the majority of the people, and I think the majority of the people are against this progressive Jacobin agenda, and they still can't find power, then we're going to be in new territory.
See, Luna, that's where I'm at with it. Paper ballots and IDs for elections only. I am so fucking sick and tired of the voter ID debate. If you do not have an ID, you cannot function properly in society. An ID does not mean a driver's license. An ID does not mean a CCW thing. You can get a state ID for like $20. If you can't afford a $20 state ID, I don't think your vote should count.
We're in new territory now. And so there are legitimate efforts to rectify and stop this madness. And let's see what happens in 2024. But I don't think it works anymore just to migrate to a red state or to drop out of the popular culture. You've got to get control of the political apparatus of the country through elections. And your worry is legitimate. If you can't.
You need an ID at the DMV. You need an ID for movie tickets, for cigarettes, for beer, for shit, even sometimes buying household stuff. Lighters in some places, fucking duster, cleaning products. You need an ID for all of that to travel. All this shit you need an ID for. Why not to vote? It makes no sense. To cash a check.
Do it through fair elections, and what do you do? So I think this election, I know everybody says that each election is paramount, but this one is very important because we're in the middle of a revolution, and it's our only avenue to a counter-revolution to return to normality.
What would you say to the people who stopped paying their cable bill and moved to Florida and feel like everything's fine because their neighborhood is fine? Why is that a bad strategy, dropping out and moving?
Because they can find you. And by that I mean Florida or Tennessee or living in Texas is a great advantage than living in California or Michigan or Oregon or Washington or Maryland. But eventually the federal government is not satisfied to leave you alone.
The federal government will never be satisfied to leave anybody alone. Their entire goal as it sits right now is to get directly up in yo biz.
And so when you go on your Google search, it will be calibrated by an algorithm to make sure that you have results that don't represent reality. And we're in a federal system where we have $33 trillion in debt, and there's only 3 ways to get out of it. You either have to inflate all of our currency, which we're trying to do, I suppose, or we're going to have to appropriate capital, which they've talked about, giving credit to Social Security years by taking 401k money. Or
that is gonna happen. Your 401k and your Social Security, that's gonna be done. Like that's going away.
You're going to have to renounce the debt, and that's going to affect all of us. And I don't need to mention that a lot of this crime is going across state lines, and you can be in red state Texas, and the federal government can say you can't protect the Texas border, or maybe it can redefine the American border as the border with Oklahoma and tell it Texas. You're not sending your illegals northward, but you're not going to be able to stop them coming into your state, because we've targeted you for radical demographic change. So it's a stopgap sanctuary, but it shouldn't lull us into the idea that it's a solution. The solution is to take back the Congress, to ensure the Supreme Court is a traditional Supreme Court, and to win the presidency. But unfortunately, the Republican Party, which we all look to, I don't look to it very much anymore, has lost 7 out of the last 8 popular votes.
Now, I wonder why. Let me know why you think.
Hasn't won 51% since George H.W. Bush did it by bringing in Lee Atwater in 1988. And then we decided we don't want to ever win that way again. It was too ugly, they thought. So I guess the idea in the national level is to win, to lose nobly and never to win ugly. But we've got to change that attitude, because we're dealing.
At what point? How do I want to word this? At what point does political turnabout become fair play for Republicans? At what point do Republicans turn around and go, well, we're not winning our way, so we'll try to win their way, if that makes sense? God, I hope that made sense.
With people that are not democratic liberals in the way that we used to define them as Bill Clinton or Harry Truman or JFK. This is a new generation of, as I said, Jacobins, and they believe that any means necessary are justified morally to achieve their morally superior aims.
What happens if Democrats win the presidency in 2024?
If they win the presidency, that means they'll keep the Senate and they'll probably take back the House. And then I would expect that we would see another 10 or 15 million illegal immigrants come across the border. And
I wouldn't be surprised if we have seen 10 to 15 million, as he would say. I wouldn't be surprised if we have seen that already this presidency.
There would be efforts to confine those immigrants from going to northern cities. They would stop them somehow. I would assume that we would probably have advisors in Ukraine, and that would be charitable. I think people really do want to intervene in Ukraine.
Hey, Baba Yaga.
With U.S. manpower. I would assume that what we see in the big cities crime-wise would extend, but it would also extend into the civil sphere, as we see with Donald Trump. That lawsuit that you mentioned is very important, Tucker, because it shows you that critical legal theory is not happy just to let people ransack, smash and grab, carjacking without consequences. They really do want to go after private capital in the civil sector, and they will start filing lawsuits as you wouldn't believe. And I think we'd also would expect that the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ would have a referendum. I guess they would think the election was a referendum on them, and they're free to do what they have been doing, but at an accelerated
I think we're
rate.
seeing that right now, honestly, that these these companies get so far up their federal entities, so companies get so far up their own ass, they think that voting against their interest is a personal referendum on them. I think we're seeing that right now.
So I think it would be a disaster, and I think racial relations would get a lot worse as well. You know, they're getting bad now once we gave up the idea of ecumenicalism and turned to racial essentialism, is what the Democratic Party has forced down everybody's throats. So it's going to be scary if they win, because that means they'll probably take the House and the Congress, the entire Congress, and there won't be any redress of grievances. I don't see it.
Let's be honest, it's probably not going to happen anyway. These people are so far up their own ass that I guarantee you they think that everything is a personal slight against them.
But I don't think they will, because they don't have any popular support. Every single one of Joe Biden's issues, economy, crime, energy, foreign policy, the border, he's polling 30 or 40%. And the only way they're retaining power is through the legal system and the administrative state and our institutions, media, entertainment, sports, education, K through 12, universities. And it's kind of an artificial way of getting power without popular consent. That's why I think you were right on when you said they don't believe in.
I think that's kind of the point.
Democracy. In fact, the op-ed writers in the New York Times will say that now, that democracy is a flawed idea, because it doesn't any longer ensure the result that they have to have.
Well, so far you people are ensuring that Daryl O stays as stream boss. I don't know what the deal with that is, but apparently that's what you want to do.
Like good Bolsheviks or good Jacobins, they eventually always turn on elections. They don't want them. And so we'll see. It's going to be a very explosive. I hope everybody can keep their head, because I think the next 12 to 18 months are going to be the most explosive in our history since the Great Depression.
I think we are about to, not even financially, because I think the financial aspect of it is letting up, but I think we are headed right into the most politically tumultuous time we have ever had.
Do you think Trump is leading now? What do you think would happen if 11 months from now Trump were still leading?
Yeah, well, we're uncharted. We have no idea about.
Daryl O says, yeah, who the hell wants me as stream boss anyway? I don't know, man. Apparently no one wants to take you out.
This election, Tucker, because first of all, we've never had a president running against an ex-president, number one. Number two, we've never had an incumbent president that is utterly corrupt, like Joe Biden, and has lost all of his, or most of his, cognitive facilities and is very unpopular. And yet we've never had a challenger who has been the victim of lawfare and is facing 91 indictments. And every time people say they wouldn't dare do this. Fannie Willis wouldn't dare. Letitia James is just an absurd prosecutor. She wouldn't dare.
Leaves Daryl O as stream boss hard.
Alvin Bragg is a buffoon. He wouldn't dare. Jack Smith is a partisan. Every time people say that, they do. And so I don't know if there's a strategy to keep Donald Trump either out of a gag order or out of confinement at Mar-a-Lago or out of jail. So you can see where we're headed to, where Joe Biden isn't really a viable president anymore. He's a construct. He's being used by the hard left, by the Obamas and the Elizabeth Warren.
Please, he's being used. Sorry, I choked on my own saliva. I'm an adult. He's being used by his children. That is literally it. He's being used by his children and Congress to pass unbelievably dumb shit.
Bernie Sanders squad wing of the Democratic Party. And it's getting to the point of caricature. So you put all of those things together and add in a Kamala Harris that frightens everybody, because we've never had such an incompetent vice president, I think, and one so unfit to be president. and everything, all bets are off. It's like putting a group, all sorts of ingredients of explosive into a kind of device, and it's going to blow up, I think, somehow. But I don't think we can predict what's going to happen. It's just too volatile. I think the left feels that they want to push the envelope. They want to take the leading Republican candidate and they want to create charges against him, which they know they would have never lodged had he just said, I don't want to run for president. They would have let him alone. So these are patently political, and they want to destroy him psychologically, financially, and of course politically. And they think they can get away with it without a pushback, and we'll see.
Well, to me, it seems like they're not getting any real pushback as it is right now. The person who was supposed to provide pushback didn't, so he got fucking ousted.
And so I think the other candidates are going to be, I don't know what their line should be, Tucker, but I think it should be, if you want to vote for me, I am going to be viable, and I'm going to make sure that they never do to Donald Trump what they're doing now, and I'm in a better position to help Trump than he is. That's the only, I think, legitimate argument to make, that this involves everybody. And if you're going to run for president and you feel...
Oh shit, we passed the 8 o'clock mark, guys. Please smash that like button. That like ratio is terrible. We have over 100 watching and 62 likes. Awful. Smash that like button. Share it out on your social media. And should you feel so inclined, please consider hitting up that Streamlabs. Take Darlow out. Maybe even unlock a new question mark listed down below.
That you embrace the MAGA agenda, you should say that I will not be in jail. I won't be exposed to the same degree. And if I can survive, I will change the system and make sure Donald Trump is exonerated and no one else has to face this. But otherwise, it's going to be a very complex, bizarre, baffling period. I don't think the founders had, this is their worst nightmare, 2023-24.
I don't even think you'd have to support Trump's agenda or Trump the man to see this as an assault on a centuries-old system that's worked better than any other. And I wonder why almost nobody in Washington seems to see that or be willing to say it out loud.
Yeah, the only question I have about that is...
It basically urges insubordination in the event of government tyranny. Well, we should be doing that anyway, but I do see your point.
I don't know why they did not go to the same extremes. They did go to extremes against McCain and Romney, etc. But there was something about Trump, his personality, that was an affront to the bicoastal standard of, I don't know, what they thought was acceptable or desirable, or it was his agenda. When they looked at the particular MAGA agenda and they said, my God, we have sizable investments in China and they are a partner. They're not an existential threat. This is really scary. Or we have this...
Good evening. Nice. Jobby McJobberson for 10, no comment. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Idea of global ecumenicalism. We can't have a border anymore, and this guy wants to bring back a border. Or we have this idea that how we look or our race is essential, not incidental to who we are. And he would want to bring back this crazy melting pot and destroy the entire woke movement. So I think it did represent to them a DEFCON 1, and they said, we can't have this. And it would have been all right, Tucker, had he been a third party Ross Perot. They dealt with people.
And welcome as Stream Boss. Look at that. Nobody wanted to stay under Darlow. We are right at 20% to goal too. Nice.
Like that in the past, and they'd already been able to handle them. But he won the Republican nomination, got elected, and now he wants to be back. And they just said, we're going to do everything possible, and we're going to even reject our prior democratic liberal heritage of, ACLU, free speech, and transparency.
The ACLU is anti-free speech.
And the church committee all of that's off the table. We don't want to do any of that anymore. We're going to do anything necessary to destroy this guy's vision and the other candidates who share his vision. Because if we don't, we're going to go back to an America that we didn't like when it was there, we don't like now, and we sure as hell don't want it to be an America in the future like
that. I think even people who are skeptical of the claim that the last election was unfair or rigged have concluded that it was in fact unfair, and the federal agencies got involved in a partisan way. It was not a free and fair election. Given that that system is still in place, you think it's possible for a Republican or Trump specifically to get elected in 2024?
It's very difficult. What the left did was absolutely brilliant, Tucker. They seized on this Sidney Powell, Linwood, Kraken, Dominion voting machines as representative of all of the...
No. Those were all good and no fraud ever. What are you talking about? Stop.
The questions about the election, when most people said the election was lost on by the time we got to Election Day.
Yeah.
Because 70% of the voters had voted not on Election Day, and that never happened in American history. It was always 30% absentees, 70% in most states on Election Day. But they systematically used COVID as an excuse.
Halloween.
You guys like that cutesy anime shit. Huge erection. Thank you for the 13 no comment. Much appreciated.
States and changed the voting laws. And I mean by that the error rate for mail-in ballots dropped exponentially as the rejection rate did,
exponentially.
as they were swarmed by them. And they were bragging about it. Mark Zuckerberg was bragging about spending $419 million to absorb the work of precinct workers in key states. Molly Ball, as you remember in that Time essay, just gushed about how they had outsmarted these stupid conservatives, and they had coordinated the Chamber of Commerce, the street people, and
I thought you guys might like that one. You cutesy little anime nonsense.
Tifa, etc., to modulate the demonstrations and to suppress free speech. And you know, when Twitter is being controlled by the FBI to the tune of $3 million being paid off for their own.
Don't forget Facebook, Instagram, Google, etc., etc.
Contractors to suppress streets, or Google is manipulating searches and ads and everything. That's what destroyed the viability of a fair election. It was done before Election Day, and we were all asleep, or some of us, I know you were yelling about it. I was trying to yell about it, but we couldn't get through to
That's probably why Tucker got fired too, because he was yelling about it.
Anybody that they would be that audacious or that successful. Nobody thought they were capable of that.
Audacious.
And yet they were.
So why have Republicans in Washington done nothing meaningful to fix any of that?
I think the traditional...
You're not a genius. You're not a genius.
Nope. Oh. Hold on. We're halfway there. Jobby McJobberson. It's just a flesh wound. I don't know, man. Let's take a look. That's a pretty bad flesh wound. Holy shit. Knocked out almost half his HP. And Steve Dave, there we go. We need to pass the hundo mark. Now, if we could get you lazy bastards to pass the 100 like mark, we might get somewhere, you fucking dipshits. This man does this for free. Fuck. Thank you, Steve Dave. And I get Streamlabs, so I guess not for free. But thank you very much, Steve Dave. Much appreciated. And Jobby McJobberson taking a nice chunk out of Hugh G. Rection. Stream Boss HP right there. Bringing us almost to the 25% mark. Not bad. Not bad.
Answer to that is probably...
And it's well obtainable, too. Low Stream Boss battles. I like it. I like it a lot.
Accurate that there's a culture that is
That one has already been annotated. Sxelly Fun. Thank you very much, Dark Will, for the 25. Much appreciated, man. Now we are definitely about 25% to goal. Thank you guys very much. Much appreciated.
Lose nobly, avoid winning ugly, profit both financially and psychologically, the status quo, and they feel that their own constituents, some of the Republican constituents, are kind of out there and an embarrassment to the type of culture and environment that that they operate in Washington. And so the sense is, I'm not going to be too affected by the left-wing takeover, because I know I can make the necessary adjustments in a way that my constituents can't. And so I think there's sometimes in the case of somebody like Mitch McConnell, it can be overt, but in other cases it's pretty clear as well. And that's been going on for a long time. And the problem
Any Witcher dono sin? No.
No TV and no beer make Homer something.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do.
Whoa, why did that cut off? Hold on.
No TV and no beer make Homer something.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do.
Joby McJoberson for the big $100 American. Ion cannon activated. Thank you so much. Guys, let's get a big thank you to Joby McJoberson, bringing us up to halfway to goal. Fantastic. No Witchers, but... Oh, where's my notepad? I just got an idea for one. I just got an idea for a Witcher. Absolutely. Awesome dono. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. And let's get a big thank you to Joby in the chat. Very generous. Much appreciated. And welcome a stream boss with 100 175750 175,750 HP. Nice.
having now is that you need leaders who are trying to tell people we are in a Jacobin takeover of this country, and the old get along at any cost does not work. And I don't think people want that disruption in their comfortable lives in Washington. I mean, if you say to somebody in the Republican establishment, you've got to break up the FBI, you've got to take the headquarters and put it in Kansas City and farm out the divisions to other cabinet posts.
And as for the people complaining about ads, this channel is monetized. I do have ads turned on. As far as monetization, customization goes, I have live ad settings, choose how mid-rolls appear. If I do that, it says schedule mid-rolls at a frequency, insert them manually, or I can do conservative, low earning potential, medium earning potential to a balanced viewer experience, or aggressive advertising, high earnings potential, more interrupted. I have it at medium for the better viewing experience. So, as far as that goes, I don't know. It says I can insert them manually, but if I click that, it does it more often. So I just have it at balanced for a better viewer experience.
To prevent that concentration of really dangerous power, you've got to do something with the CIA. You've got to do something with the DOJ. We've got to have massive legal reforms. I don't think they're up to that. I really don't. I don't think they're up to being trashed in the Washington Post or the New York Times, or not being invited to a particular guest spot on a network.
Shelly sent that one in too. It's fucking creepy. What's behind this mystery door? Big fucking weird monster things. Thank you, Daryl O, delivering a pretty hard shin kick to Joby McJoberson. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, Daryl O.
Yes, they're just not up to that, or having their books trashed by book reviewers on the left. They don't want that. There's a few that do, and but until we get a lot of people who say, you know, you on the left culturally have nothing that I want, and so when you hate us and call me names and you lie about, I take that as a badge of honor. I don't try to provoke.
I regret this decision. Close the door. Close the door.
You. I want to get along with you, but you have no cultural influence over me anymore, and I'm going to.
I think if it ever got to that point where they felt they had no cultural influence, they would just shred the Constitution.
Be an advocate for returning to the country to the principles upon which it was founded. I think that's what people want to hear, and I think in 2024 they'll hear that, and they're going to have to, each person according to their station, Tucker, stand up, give money to the cause, write letters to the paper, volunteer to work at precincts, monitor what the left is doing with mail-in ballots. And you're starting to see that grassroots interest, but the question is, will it be in time and of a magnitude that will stop this?
So, to the hearing today in New York, the civil case against Trump, my read of it is that it's ridiculous. The premise is absurd. Am I missing something? Is there any merit, do you think, just as objectively as you can, to this suit?
It's like naming your organization the Young Turks and just ignoring what the Young Turks actually did. There's my bell. Not only ignoring it, but denying it.
Well, I mean, in a larger sense, no, because you can ask yourself two questions. Would Letitia James and the people who were doing this, would they have done it if Donald Trump on January 7th said, conditions have changed, I'm now not going to run for office? I think the answer is no. And then the second thing, are some of the giants of New York finance and real estate, do they operate in a way that is completely different than Donald Trump? They never overvalue an asset, and I think the answer is no. And then the third question might be, now that you've picked on Donald Trump, are you going to systematically look at the bank applications and loan applications of, say, 50 or 60 of the largest developers in New York, especially on the left-wing side? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, you're only allowed to think certain things, man. You should know better.
So, and especially you made a good point that the bank is not filing suit and saying we lost all of this money. And then we have to juxtapose it, Tucker, to what we're witnessing on the other side with somebody like Sam Bankman-Fried,
who is an insane human being, stole hundreds of millions, if not more money, to donate to Democrats and just got off almost completely scot-free.
That was put on house arrest on the Stanford campus. We now know about his parents, two renowned Stanford law professors that were grifting off their own son and siphoning money from his company as it was collapsing, which was a big bundler and provider of millions of dollars for the...
We haven't heard much about that case, have we? Last thing I heard about that case was he was denied a visa. That's the last thing I remember hearing about it.
Democratic Party.
But we're not going to hear anything about it because it's Sam Bankman-Fried and he donated to Democrats. When it is in the news, they call him a prolific Republican donor because they're out of their fucking minds. But that's where it is. Guys, we are over halfway to goal, almost at 60%. Joby McJoberson has about 140,000 HP. And I'm telling you, that new 150, not only would it give you Stream Boss, but it is a delicious, fantastic donation.
And nobody in the Democratic Party seems to be upset about him. And then we have Hunter Biden looking right, and we're looking at us, and you want to ask Letitia James, are you really going to do anything, or do you think that Joe Biden should face consequences for again and again and again telling the American people he had no knowledge or participation in any of Hunter's business when you know that was untrue, and money was coming to his address? And so it's a very strange time, Tucker, when you have all this evidence, both to exonerate Donald Trump because of this asymmetrical treatment and the fact that there was no damage, but also when you're looking at Hunter Biden or Menendez and all these people, and you think, how can they, with a straight face, tell us that there's not a shred of evidence that Hunter and Joe were acting in an illegal fashion? And the President of the United States, as we talk, you and I are talking right now, the President of the United States is pretty clearly, as Vice
That's true, Luna, that's true. He could get very sad.
President was utterly corrupt and has never accounted for that. And nobody on the left cares about it. More importantly, the judiciary or the prosecutorial arm of the United States government is protecting him.
Let me ask you one last question. So I want to put up a clip of, as you noted, there's a lot going on, and no matter what side you're on, I think any aware person sees that this is a revolution. Our most basic systems are changing for good or bad. And yet the news coverage, I mean, not only is it partisan, it's also incredibly shallow. Here's MSNBC's coverage of the civil trial in New York, the case against Donald Trump. Just one clip of it.
As of this order, several of the crown jewels in Trump's real estate empire, the properties upon which he built.
This whole fucking case is absolutely unbelievable. Like, I am having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that this is actually happening, that a judge can arbitrarily decide that land is only worth a certain amount of money when all the surrounding land is worth like 2 to 3 times that much when it's on space 40 times bigger than the land around it. It is fucking insane. It is absolutely insane.
Built his brand. Those properties are now in limbo. The precise impact of today's ruling has yet to be seen, but Trump could lose control of properties including Trump Park Avenue, which is his luxury skyscraper in Manhattan's Lenox Hill neighborhood. He could lose control of 40 Wall Street, the historic tower Trump owns in the financial district. He could lose control of his Seven Springs Golf Club in Bedford, New York.
Imagine all of this because an activist judge just decides.
Even his apartment in Trump Tower, the Gilded Bunker, in which he has sought refuge in his home city. Trump could lose control of that. Maybe even the golden toilet, too.
They are seizing their political opponent's assets because of the fact that he stands up to them.
So here they're going after this guy on the basis of a non-crime. They're not even alleging that there was a crime or that anyone was hurt. And they're taking his home and his businesses, and MSNBC's coverage is that?
Yeah, I mean, what MSNBC just told us is that we are not only fine with, but we promote the idea that government can go in to a business, all of the business, and appropriate it and destroy.
Oh, Luna, that will never happen. That will never happen. The corrupt DOJ that I am trying to eat won't allow it. It just will never happen. They will never get in trouble. They will never face repercussions or anything for their actions because they're on the right side.
It without cause. And we think
de facto
that's
expropriation.
Not only good, but funny, because we're going to throw a little fillip about a golden toilet. Ha ha. And the idea is that we now have the power to do this, and because we have the power to do it, it's moral and right. And if you don't like it, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
And the answer is, what are we going to do about it? And the only thing that I can think of is we're going to have to humiliate and defeat these people at the polls. I don't think it's going to work, Tucker, to win the Electoral College and one branch of Congress. You're going to have
2 tiers of justice. I've been saying it forever. I will never stop saying it. We live in a 2-tier justice system, and we're on the bottom rung.
Have to have a 55% presidential win, both supermajority in the Congress, to get anything done. We've come so far. And you're going to have to defeat them and humiliate them the way that we did it once with Reagan, and it lasted for about 8 years. But this leftist revolutionary spirit is like rust after a rain, or it's mushrooms in your lawn. It's always there, and you can't allow it to grow and to expand and accelerate as we have.
There's literally nothing we can do about it as of right now. These people have not only taken hold, they have taken hold so hard that even disagreeing with them gets a knock on your door.
We've been complacent and culpable for allowing it to do so in the universities and all of our institutions. And I think now everybody, according to their
what up, Steel Fang?
Station, is going to have to say, you know what? There are two pronouns. I don't care if you get angry. This was the date of this country is 1776. Got it? That's what it is. And there is a border, and we're going to enforce it. And just say no to all of these things, and then welcome the opprobrium and the attacks that accrue accordingly, and wear that as a badge of honor. Because what's the alternative? There is no alternative unless you want to see the United States dissipate before your very eyes.
Yes. Yeah. And living in Naples with no TV will not save you. That is exactly right. The incomparable Victor Davis Hanson, thank you. Bless you for that. Thank you.
I don't know, man. I think that he is mostly correct on this. I think he's pretty much nailed most of this, honestly, because I don't know what else can really be said. They have grabbed power so fucking hard, and then they won't let go. They won't stop being black-pilled the moment you give up. They win. I didn't say I'm giving up. Oh, this is a 45-minute interview. We will at least start it. We'll at least start this one. Okay, guys, smash that like button. Share it out on your social media. We're going to at least get through part of this one. Yeah, we'll get through part of it. Smash the like button, share it out. If you feel so inclined, hit up that Streamlabs. You could take out Joby McJoberson. You can help eat the corrupt DOJ. You could even unlock new donos.
It's debate night, but we're not at the Reagan Library. We are undisclosed with Mr. Bill O'Reilly.
Against my will.
Bill O'Reilly, what a pleasure this is. Thank you for doing it.
I have one question before we begin.
You do? Okay.
How long is this going to last?
Quite some time.
Oh,
quite.
Because I know these X things, and they're like some 4 days.
They go on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a deposition.
Shave in the middle of them.
With no lawyers.
Right.
So you got canned exactly 6 years before I did, almost to the day, from Fox. How's your life? Well, first of all, what was that like, and how's your life been since?
Well, I don't see it as getting canned. I got furloughed. I like that word. It's furloughed. See, I've been in this business almost 50 years, and I've worked for CBS, ABC, King World, Inside Edition, and now Fox. And then I did all the local stuff. I worked local. So I understood what most television news people don't, that you are expendable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to Sylvester Stallone, but you're expendable, okay?
Boo. I mean, I get it, but boo. I thought O'Reilly hated Tucker. I thought he did too.
Okay? And so when bad things happen, I kind of expect that, even though I was the ratings leader and all that. Once the boss at Fox News, Roger Ailes, left the operation, everything changed. And when everything changes, then anything could happen.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like thunderbolt like you out of the blue, what the deuce is this, okay? And so what I did was basically accept it right away, like I would accept a car accident or something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it. We got my people, my lawyers, managers. We had a nice conversation with News Corp. They fulfill their contractual obligations to me, every bit of it. And we said, see you later. That's what happened.
So, but you said that.
Can you guys tell the donations that Miss Sin suggested? Can you guys tell? We all need to remember that these people are in power. These people in power are not gods. There are more of us than there are of them. That is a goddamn fact. Thank you, Steel Fang. Much appreciated. It was 25-25. Let me annotate that. Call it Skelly Twerken. Twerken.
Predicate to all of this happening was Roger Ailes leaving.
Right.
What was that exactly?
I don't know. I made it my business to stay out of the corporate politics at Fox.
Yeah.
So
I feel like working at a major, and goddamn, that's over 60% to goal. We are 290 away from goal, a song, and a horsecock. I feel like staying out of corporate politics, especially at a place like Fox News, is kind of, I feel like it's unavoidable.
In 20 years plus that I was working there, I saw Rupert Murdoch 7 times.
Yeah.
In 20 years. That's it. I didn't have anything to do with that side of the business. Now, Ailes would call and yell at me from time to time that I said something stupid. And I would say to him, if you're going to call and yell at me when I say something stupid, that's going to take up most of your day, every day. All right, so why don't you just pick your spots here, you know? I didn't have...
Yeah, I don't think you can really stay that long without getting involved.
...any kind of corporate relationship, so I didn't know...
Even with Ailes?
Oh, the Ailes was news analysis relationship.
Yeah.
And news gathering.
Did you respect him?
The guy was a giant.
Yeah.
Oh, he knew what was going on. He was a great talent evaluator.
Yes.
He knew who was good on TV and who wasn't, okay? He's a no BS guy. I asked him a question, I got an answer. Do you know how rare that is in the media? To ask somebody a question, get an honest answer?
Never happens.
It happened twice to me. Peter Jennings and Roger Ailes. Those were the guys. I ask them a question, I get an honest answer.
Both self-made guys.
Whatever it was. But here's what people don't understand about television news. It's like professional football, the NFL. If you are a talent, both Carlson and I are a talent. That's what they call us, because we're on television. You have to beat the shows that are up against you.
Right.
Right? So when
I feel like Tucker might not push back as hard as we expect him to in this, because when he had like Trump in there and shit, he kind of softballed. So I don't know.
When I was at Inside Edition, I had to beat Wheel of Fortune or whoever I was competing against,
right?
Okay? Or at least come close. You have to beat the other team. And if you do beat them, like you did and I did, then you're rewarded with money. Not love, not loyalty, money. It's a pure play. So when personnel changes, then it's all thrown into chaos. So Tom Brady leaves the New England Patriots, right?
Yeah.
The entire dynamic of the organization changes. Now, some might say for the better, some might say for the worse, but it's totally different without Tom Brady.
But here's where the analogy breaks down. The Patriots didn't fire Tom Brady the minute he won the Super Bowl and then denounce him as a sex criminal or a racist.
Well,
so why would you fire the guy, in your case, for example, who had dominated the space, was continuing, still number one? Like, that just seems acting against interest. Like, why would you ever fire the top guy?
Matt Lauer actually asked me that question.
Yeah, good question.
Okay, and he asked me it on the Today Show in a kind of haughty way. I said it was business.
Pride goeth before the fall.
Yeah, Don Lemon couldn't keep his hands off other people. We all kind of know Bill O'Reilly's a little bit of a scumfuck, so I'm interested to see how this is. I can't go for too much longer. Earlier schedules mean kids go to bed earlier, so I'm interested to see what they can give me in the next 5 or so minutes.
So I never asked them why they did what they did, ever.
But why attack?
But listen to me for a minute. This is important.
Yeah.
I never asked them why they did what they did. I accepted it. Okay, and then as I said, we got the contracts in order. But at the time, they were trying to buy Sky News. And the Sky operation runs all the soccer in Europe. Huge money making.
Oh, yeah.
All right, News Corp was trying to buy them. The British regulators were giving them an awful hard time for a number of reasons. And in my mind, I thought that might have something to do with it. But I have to tell you this honestly, I didn't care. I had been there for 20 years. I was time for a change. When I started cable news, it was nothing, but I knew it was going to be huge. And then I said, you know what's going to be the next huge? Alternative independent media.
Yeah.
I feel like that's bullshit. He probably hated that shit when it was just first starting toward the end of his career. He probably thought it was fucking insane.
Yes.
And I just scampered on over to it. I think there was a week, only a week before I started BillO'Reilly.com. We already had it up and running as a news operation. I took a number of people from Fox with me, good people. And to this day, it's been 6.5 years. It's the most successful independent news agency in the world.
I feel like that's probably not completely accurate. I feel like that's probably not accurate.
But so you didn't spend any time locked in your bedroom with a bottle of vodka at all?
No, I don't drink. I'm too boring to drink. That's why I don't drink. I don't think feeling sorry for yourself is a good use of anybody's time.
Yeah.
I accepted the situation, which is the key to life. I knew I wasn't going to change it, right? They made a decision. So why am I going to brood about it? I mean, a lot of Irish guys brood.
Yes, yes, it's a brooding island.
It is, but I'm not really a brooder.
Really not feeling this interview.
I'm like, okay, that happened. The concern was for my children. I protected my children as best I could, and I succeeded on that, I think.
Dude, everybody knows what the fuck you did. The subtitles are getting annoying. Oh, sorry. I could turn them off.
But for me, it was, now we're going to do this, and we're going to make this sing. And we have.
Amazing. So you lost no time?
None. In fact, I was writing books. I was doing radio. I mean, my radio franchise stayed right where it was. Nothing happened there at all. Nothing happened in publishing. I mean, Killing the Witches is the 13th Killing book. There was no interruption in that. The only interruption was on cable news. And so I went to another news forum.
How did you keep yourself from getting bitter, though?
I'm just bitter about everything anyway. So
that's your
easy.
default?
Yeah, it was like, how much more bitter can I get? I'm just bitter 24/7.
Okay.
I have what they call an edge to me. All right? and so, but again.
Where's that from?
Levittown. After World War II, the baby boomers, 100 kids, and if they didn't like you, it was like, okay, here we go. No kicking, though. We had rules at Levittown.
No kicking?
Brawling, couldn't kick. You had to
so
use
it's pre-UFC?
Yeah. No tattoos at that time. But anyway, I have a philosophy of life that I've developed, and I stick to it. In that discipline, I don't go to a psychiatrist because why drive them crazy? That's not fair to the psychiatrist. If I would walk in, I don't do any of that. I think I'm here for a reason, put on the planet for a reason. I'm trying to be an honest guy, and I make everybody that I work for money. But you know what the greatest thing is? I'll never work for anybody again. I run my own show now.
So is that the future? I mean, what is it? You said you worked everywhere.
The future is independent media, corporate media. Cable writ large is going downhill. Corporate media writ large with it. Obviously, the future is independent media, but is it Bill O'Reilly? I don't think so.
In television.
Right.
Like, what is the future of cable news? What is the future of news?
Cable news will be there.
Yeah.
But it's like the network news. I mean, when was the last time you said, you heard somebody say, wow, did you see that on Norah O'Donnell? When was the last time you heard somebody say that?
I don't think I ever have.
No.
But
when Cronkite was there,
yeah,
and Rather and Brokaw and Jennings, there was juice.
Yeah, it was a real thing.
Well, 3 News.
So cable will stay where it is, and Fox will win, by the way, because Fox has better talent. Fox wins not because
A
of this
local charter
ideology,
school leader
although they
has
have an advantage because traditional Americans have nowhere else to go except Newsmax. But Fox has better talent. The talent is better. And that's it. So people gravitate toward talent. I trained Waters, Jesse Waters. I trained him, okay? So whether you like him or not, he's talented.
For sure.
Hannity's talent. Hannity's talented. He can deliver a broadcast.
Hannity is not talented. Stop it.
Did you give Jesse advice before he started?
Hey, I only give advice when people ask me.
Yeah.
So you yourself have never asked me for advice. But
that's totally false.
Did I give you some advice?
Slept to your no, that is totally when I took over Greta Van Susteren, I waited in the anteroom of your office. Yes, I did. It was in fact, Ailes told me, go kiss O'Reilly's ass, and that's the first thing I did. A man never stands so tall as when he stoops to kiss an ass.
What did I tell you?
You said it's a very treacherous business. Mind your own business.
Just stay
in your own lane. Do your thing.
Okay.
I thought
that was good advice.
Yes,
right?
it was.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm old now, so I forget. Right.
This is 3 News Daily.
Jesus Christ. Shut up.
Jen Griffin. I have to I just can't resist, and I don't mean this as a criticism because I actually love it, but the most famous video on the internet is you. Shot off camera in a
this is one of my favorite things.
Previous job before Fox.
What am I doing? Going live? Is that
You're going live.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
I was in Iceland, and I had some gnome come up to me and goes, "You're the going live guy." I said, "What? I'm in Iceland."
That was in Reykjavik?
Yeah, and it's all over the world. I mean, there are Japanese guys going, "I'm the live guy." I mean, it's ridiculous. So I'm on Inside Edition, and they can't tape it every 2 minutes. They go, "Oh, we didn't get the audio. Oh, you were out of frame. Oh, there's a giant glob on your ear." And they couldn't get it taped. So finally, Irish guy went, "All right,
we'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks."
Yeah, and there it goes.
Okay, I think that's the most pushback we're going to see on this. Maybe we'll pick it up next Tuesday. Maybe we'll pick it up Thursday. I don't know. I got to go get these little gremlins to bed, guys. So we're going to call it there. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Thank you for an incredible, incredible show tonight. All the very, very generous donations. I really appreciate it. I have some expenses coming up this month, which I'm really super not looking forward to. Are you streaming tomorrow? Okay, so here's the plan. Thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot. Here is the plan for AAA this week. Maybe Polly hosting tomorrow. I need to confirm that later on. Then episode 400 Friday on my channel if Polly can't host it because he's got something going on. Drunkle will host it. We will have Friday show, and then there will be the second channel stream tomorrow at 3:00 on my channel. Thank you, Frankenbeans. Okay, that's the tentative plan. Subject to change on host for tomorrow's AAA, but second channel stream over on Sin and Sass at about 3:00. And all that fun stuff. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the amazing donations. Jobby Mitchoberson. Thank you very much. Steel Fang, Dark Will, Steve Dave, Huge Erection, Gen Z, all you guys, Darlow. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you then.